Hello，大家好，欢迎回到外媒看中国，我是安博然。Andrew Tate, Big G, a hugely divisive figure with millions and millions of extremely loyal followers, has come out in support of Chinese media, which he called mainstream media with credibility. Love him or hate him, his support will do a heck of a lot to open a large group of people's eyes to the reality of China and Chinese media. Another divisive figure, Twitter personality Jackson Hinkle, is one more American with a massive following who tries to tell the world about the real China, and he's currently here in Shanghai. This is Reports on China. I'm Andy Boreham, also in Shanghai. Let's get reporting. British-American Andrew Tate is an extremely divisive figure who knows what it's like to be censored and cancelled by the mainstream media over his views, which many would argue are misogynistic, homophobic, and every other label under the sun. He has a massive following of young, impressionable men and has been labelled by many as the king of toxic masculinity. And last year was the third most Googled person. So love him or hate him, Tate has arguably done China and Chinese media a huge favour by posting a single tweet about CGTN, which read, "I'm watching CGTN news and I've never seen such truth from mainstream media. Western corruption, Gaza genocide, rigged elections, MSM with credibility, remarkable." With the millions upon millions of people who follow Andrew Tate, this single tweet has the potential to open the eyes of a large number of his followers who might otherwise believe the negative and biased image of China portrayed in Western media. Just by reading the comments, you can see in real time people waking up from their slumber and welcoming the idea that they might just have been lied to by the mainstream Western media. Alex Barneycoat writes, "Maybe China isn't as bad as the West tries to make them out to be." Fit Mental G added, "Maybe China isn't the bad guy after all." Hasnain Ali said, "Well, maybe China isn't as terrible as the West likes to paint them. I mean, they churn out most of the stuff we use, and honestly, they do more for us than anyone else. The whole beef with the West? Probably just because China's got more power than them." Tyler said, "Interesting, I'll have to look into this network." Mumbo announced, "Am watching CGTN from today." Matthew McKinnon isn't quite convinced, but is perhaps willing now, thanks to Tate's tweet, to investigate further. He replied, "Impossible. I don't believe it. I need to see this with my own eyes." Recently, I interviewed CGTN journalist and host Liu Xin about this very topic, media integrity, which I really recommend you watch if you haven't already. But let's take a quick look now. So I was wondering for you, what you see the key differences are between Western and Chinese media.
Yeah, this is the question I think about all the time, and I guess I get asked all the time, almost every time I go on stage or go on international media, they would ask that question. I think I want to pick up what you just said. Sometimes the Chinese stories may be boring, but some things are boring but important. And our job is to bring the important information out there, but make it interesting. And that is a challenge because people by nature are drawn to sensational things, are drawn to pictures that are eye-catching in whatever ways. So our job is to make the positive or the big picture as appealing to their senses, because we believe that is important. It is important for people not just know the partial truth, but also know the big picture so that they can really make informed decisions.
Another divisive figure, Jackson Hinkle, one of Twitter's most viral personalities, is currently here in Shanghai. Hinkle, who is a proud American who wishes to see his country stop meddling and warmongering around the world, now has 2.4 million followers on Twitter and is a vocal defender of China and the rest of the global south. He's one of the few US personalities who tries to educate people that the NED-funded and orchestrated Uyghur genocide myth is just that, a fake atrocity pushed by Western media and governments in order to sow discord and instability into China's Xinjiang region and ultimately slow the country's growth. If you haven't seen my video, Why the US Wants to Destabilize Xinjiang, do watch it after this video. I'll link it below. But again, let's just take a quick look together. Many see it as inevitable that China will soon overtake the US as the world's largest economy, a fact that Washington is extremely uncomfortable with. That's where Xinjiang comes back into the picture. Owing to the great ethnic diversity in Xinjiang, as well as its history of being somewhat underdeveloped, the US sees the region as a weak spot, somewhere it can aim its efforts to break China apart from the inside out. What many in the West fail to realise is the sheer extent of terrorist attacks perpetrated by Xinjiang separatists that led to China cracking down hard in the region to begin with. A lot of Jackson Hinkle's critics claim he's a grifter who only wants to make money by talking about all of the latest conflicts in the world, for example, Ukraine and Gaza. But I actually find him extremely consistent. He loves America first and foremost, but wants to highlight the bad his country is doing through war and suffering around the world, and he wants to see it end. Of course, that means he'll have to talk about the latest conflicts that Washington is playing a role in. That only makes sense, doesn't it? So whether you love or despise Andrew Tate and Jackson Hinkle, we must admit that this is an information war that we are in, and we need as much help from people around the world who have the same goals we do as possible. What are those goals? To stop the war and suffering around the globe and create a fairer, safer, more open world that doesn't exist under the boot of American-led Western hegemony. So thank you, Andrew Tate, and thank you, Jackson Hinkle. On that note, that will be it for today, you guys, but as always, I would love to hear what you have to say, so do let me know down below. Do you support Andrew Tate and Jackson Hinkle? I'd love to hear your thoughts. And if you haven't already, do hit like and subscribe. It really does help the channel. And I will see you all next time. Bye-bye.